Introduction to Royal Revenge. Come and read more of my works on the website of Yuan. A sudden disaster struck. You are listening at novelfull.audio. On the winter solstice, the moon is dark and the wind is high. At 5 o'clock, the streets of the capital were empty and pitch black. In the quiet of Prince Huai's mansion, a black figure jumped into the courtyard, gently opened the door, and several people from the martial arts world rushed in. There is also a black-clothed man flying on the roof, looking like they are all martial arts experts in the martial arts world. The man in black gently opened King Huai's bedroom, approached the bed, and slapped him on the bed. Speaking late, then fast, just as the palm covers the head. Sleeping King Huai suddenly turned to one side and a carp thrust out of the bed. The man in black caught up with King Huai upon seeing the situation, and the two of them fought and walked out the door. Another man in black raised his sword and stabbed the frightened queen, staining the bed curtain with blood. The fight between King Huai and the man in black woke up the people in the mansion, and the butler grabbed his sword and rushed towards the courtyard. Several black-clothed men surrounded the two of them, who were highly skilled in martial arts and had deep internal strength. One of them hit the back of King Huai with a palm, causing him to stumble backwards and spit out blood in his mouth. King Huai sternly asked, "I have never been enemies with you, why would you kill me?" The leader in black said, "We are people from the martial arts world, entrusted by others to destroy your entire family." King Huai said, "Before you die, can you tell your enemy?" The man in black next to him said, "Anyway, I'm going to die. It's okay to sue you, competing for the position of crown prince." The leader quickly said, "Don't give him any nonsense." King Huai laughed heartily and said with great sorrow, "Second, we have a deep affection for each other. I want to speak frankly and let you be my own. Why kill my whole family?" The leading black-clothed man flew towards King Huai and struck him with 2 consecutive palms. King Huai fell to the ground and died from exhaustion. The butler shouted loudly, "General!" 2 black-clothed men besieged the butler again, while the other few black-clothed men killed anyone they saw. The servants, maids, and women all fell into a pool of blood. The butler held his sword to resist left and right, and the man in black threw down his sword and exerted force. He hit the butler in the chest with 1 palm, and another person flew up and struck him from the top of the head. The butler immediately shed blood from his 7 orifices and collapsed. "Kill all of them, leave no survivors, and don't let the son of King Huai go." The black-clothed man searched one room at a time, killing anyone he saw. He searched the entire mansion, but did not see the little prince or the deputy Prince Huai. A man in black said, "I missed the child, maybe it was taken away by the attendants." The leader said, "Chase, you must not escape." After searching outside for a while, the man in black returned and said, "I should be hiding now. It's dark and I can't see." The man in black poured oil and set fire, and the Huai Wang mansion immediately caught fire. The flames engulfed the sky, and over 100 people in the Huai Wang mansion were buried in the sea of fire. In the Yellow Palace, the Yellow Emperor was washing up when the eunuch panicked and came in, kneeling down and crying, saying, "Your Majesty, the Huai Wang mansion has been flooded, and no one has survived in the entire mansion." The elderly Taizu felt dizzy upon hearing this, and the palace maid quickly helped him. Taizu tearfully said, "I just brought him back and established the crown prince. How could this happen?" Emperor Taizu said, "The master of the Xianxia was passed down." The eunuch left the palace gate, and the second prince, Prince Yi, and the third prince, Prince Zhong, were all waiting at the entrance. King Yi paced expressionlessly. The loyal king cried uncontrollably, and when his father-in-law came out, he pulled and asked, "Father, should we investigate? Big brother must have been framed." My father-in-law said, "Loyal king, I mourn deeply. Knowing that you have a deep affection for King Huai, I will go and invite the Prime Minister and national teacher." In no time, the Prime Minister arrived first and said to Emperor Taizu, "I think this matter is suspicious." Taizu said, In my opinion, who would it be? The Prime Minister said, as the Crown Prince, the two of them are highly suspected. Should we thoroughly investigate? Taizu said, never mind, I am already old and not in good health. If we investigate, we will lose another son in pain. The Prime Minister said, so the position of Crown Prince. Emperor Taizu said, it depends on the situation, military power and the throne, one person at a time, and they must restrain each other in order not to harm each other. Emperor Taizu said, Your Majesty is wise, I'm afraid someone wants both. Taizu said, the loyal king has a quick temper and is brave but not strategic. Let him lead the family, I'm afraid he won't be able to hold on. The Prime Minister said, I am also worried about being a minister. The situation is turbulent, the country is unstable, and foreign enemies are invading. The eunuch announced, the national teacher has arrived. The national teacher looked more than 60 years old, dressed in Taoist attire, with red hair and red complexion. He carried a brush and walked with a gentle breeze, making him look like a practitioner. The national teacher stood and saluted, Your Majesty, but for matters outside the palace. He and the Yellow Emperor were sworn brothers and fought together, so they were very casual. Taizu said, National teacher, in your opinion, what should we do? The national teacher stroked his beard and said, appoint the Crown Prince as soon as possible. There is no need to delve into the matter of King Huai. Taizu said, who is suitable? The national teacher said, Prince Yi becomes the Crown Prince, while Prince Zhong manages military power and leaves the capital. This is a temporary measure. Taizu said, national teachers have long had a clear idea. The national teacher said, I have been to the Huaiwan mansion before, and it was done by a master. If people from the martial arts world mix up, it will be a disaster of blood and light. Your Majesty's health is not good, and loyalty to the king is also dangerous, so it is not advisable to make big moves. Otherwise, the country will be uneasy. Emperor Taizu said, let's take the advice of the two ministers. The national teacher said, I have always supported King Huai. After King Yi ascended to power, I retired and returned to my hometown. Taizu said, he won't take action against you. The national teacher said, rabbit dies, dog cooks. As a martial arts practitioner, I am not suitable to be in court and go to the quiet countryside. Taizu said, you have reached this point, and I have confirmed it. Emperor Taizu issued an edict. Prince Yi was appointed as the Crown Prince and resided in the Eastern Palace. Prince Zhong took over the military power of Prince Huai and was in charge of the entire army. He left the capital with a tiger talisman and was not allowed to enter the city without being summoned. The loyal king wept and said, Big brother, find the academy www.zhaosuiyuan.com. You died so wrongly, my younger brother is incompetent. The loyal king kowtowed in front of the ruins and led his family and army to the border. Two opponents were missing at once, and Zhongwan also left to lead his team. King Yi was very proud in his heart and returned to his mansion with great excitement. King Yi quietly told the military advisor, you have to let them kill the son of King Huai, and the benefits are inevitable. The national advisor is a person of King Huai, and may be hiding in his house, secretly tracking and eliminating the deputy. The soldier slipped into the basement. There were two people hiding in the dark room, a man and a woman, dressed in black, who were from the Huaiwan mansion at night. When they saw the person coming, the two of them said in unison, what did King Yi say? The military strategist smiled and said, thank you, two great heroes. You have become the Crown Prince and will kill Prince Huai again to prevent future troubles. Gold cannot do without you. In the future, when you become the Yellow Emperor, it will be our world. The man chuckled and said, okay, the leader of the Martial Arts Alliance is none other than Lin Xiaotian. The woman said, wishing senior brother early becoming the leader of the alliance. Lin Xiaotian said, as a flower on the sea, would you like to be the wife of the alliance leader? The flower on the sea said, let's talk about it. Military strategist. Don't be happy yet. There is still a task, and the Deputy General of the National Army knows martial arts. The two of them smiled at each other and arrogantly said, I'm sorry they're not my match either. The national teacher returned to the mansion, prepared gold and silver coils, and led a fast horse. He said to his adjutant, quickly send Prince Mufeng to Yunmengshan. There is a master of cultivation, Mr. Yunhe, who can save his life, teach him martial arts, and come back to seize the throne when he grows up. The national teacher wrote a letter and stuffed it in swaddling clothes, then asked the nanny in the mansion to feed the child, wrap it in a small cotton quilt, tie it on the deputy's back, and leave the mansion through the back door. The servants hiding around the Guesher family immediately returned to the mansion to report. Lin Xiaotian and Haihua quickly left the capital and chased after their deputy. Yunmengshan. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. The adjutant carried the prince on his back, galloping on the road with a fast horse. There are very few pedestrians on the winter road, and the sound of horse hooves is particularly loud. After walking for half a day, we arrived at the mountains, forests, and wilderness. The deputy dismounted and took off the child to take a look. The little prince was sleeping soundly. He put it back on his back again, afraid of being chased by someone, and hurried on. Walked through the dense forest path and crossed the river. It was already late, and I saw an inn by the roadside. The deputy entered the courtyard, and the staff led a horse to feed him. After putting down the little prince began to cry loudly. The adjutant hugged and coaxed him. The landlady came out from behind the wine cabinet, held the child and said, "The baby is hungry." Then she asked the waiter to bring rice porridge and fed it one mouthful at a time. The little prince ate very well. The deputy asked for a room, ordered food and drinks, and started eating. The landlady said, "How could a big man take care of a child?" The adjutant said, "It's my brother's child. My sister-in-law passed away and was sent to my grandmother's house." The landlady said, "Poor kid." The landlady changed the doll's diaper, put on her clothes, and handed them over to the deputy. The deputy was full and saw that there were only a few merchants staying in the store. He asked, "There aren't many guests?" The landlady said, "Only merchants can walk outside in the cold weather, and even more so when it snows." The deputy went upstairs to rest, and through the window, he saw several officers and soldiers coming in at the door. He was afraid that it was a pursuer, and soon the people left. The deputy put the child away, lay down to sleep, and planned to leave halfway through the night to avoid long dreams. The adjutant wrapped up the sleeping little prince in the middle of the night and went downstairs to prepare to leave. The startled shopkeeper said, "Sir, the road is slippery and cold in the dark. The child can't bear it, so it's better to leave at dawn." The deputy looked around and felt the darkness, thinking it made sense, so he retreated to his room and went back to sleep. After eating, the landlady fed the child again and changed the diaper. The adjutant saw that the couple were doing well and left with an ingot of silver. After walking for half a day, we arrived at the foot of Yunmengshan Mountain. The mountains are high and deep, the scenery is beautiful, the trees are towering, the peaks are verdant, the mountain mist is misty, the clouds are flourishing, the atmosphere is diverse, and the spring water is babbling. Several mountains are shrouded in clouds and mist, with a fairy-like aura drifting. The adjutant breathed a sigh of relief, held the child, and was about to enter the mountain. Unexpectedly, two people emerged from the forest and said with a wry smile, "When you wait a long time, leave the child behind and spare your life." The deputy looked at the person, a black-clad warrior and a red-clad woman, with fierce faces and not like good people. The deputy wrapped the child, placed it on a leaf, drew his sword, and fought with the two of them. The adjutant was ultimately unable to defeat the master. After a few rounds, he was injured by a man and spat blood from his mouth. The man said while fighting, "Junior sister, go kill the child." The deputy was anxious and wanted to take care of the child, but was slapped by the man. The woman flew to pick up the child and lifted it high, throwing it towards the distance. The adjutant closed his eyes and thought to himself, it's all over. In the moment he took a nap, a white shadow flew over and caught the crying child, holding it in his arms. The three of them were stunned, only then could they see clearly the handsome man in white clothes, with a clear and spirited demeanor, exuding a fairy-like aura. The woman exclaimed in surprise, "Senior brother, so you're here." The white fairy said, "Lin Xiaotian, the sea flower, you too are doing evil again." The man ignored and exerted his strength, sending a burst of true energy towards the deputy, who fell to the ground. The Taoist in white reached out his palm and exerted force, striking the man with a tremendous force. The man held his chest and took a few steps back, spewing out a mouthful of blood. The man in white once again attacked the woman, who hurriedly avoided and pleaded, "Senior brother, don't do anything bad anymore." The Taoist in white stopped his hand and said sternly, "Get out of here. If you discover that you have committed many evil deeds again, you will not be lenient." The woman picked up the injured man and ran away in panic. White-clothed Taoist, help up the adjutant, just about to rescue. The deputy said weakly, "I'm looking for Youzi." The Taoist said, "I am." The adjutant grabbed Youzi's hand and said, "This is the son of King Huai. Due to his position as the crown prince, he was brutally killed by the righteous king. It was the same person who attacked King Huai's mansion at night and wiped out the entire family. I secretly rescued the prince, and the national teacher instructed me to send him here to save his life. I have entrusted the child to you, and I have finally completed my mission." After finishing speaking, the adjutant gasped for breath. Youzi buried his deputy and wrote about a loyal and righteous person. Youzi took her child and flew up the mountain, soaring through the clouds and mist. On the highest cliff, there is a waterfall, and behind the waterfall, the mountain is a flat grassland with a Zen temple. Mr. Youzi entered the hospital, and his eldest disciple Tai greeted him, saying, "Master, what happened?" Youzi said, "I have sent someone over." Tai took the prince, carried him into the room, placed him on the bed, untied the small blanket, and the letter fell out. Tai picked it up and handed it to his master. Youzi opened it and said, "His name is Zhao Mufeng, and he happens to be 1 year old." Youzi received the letter and said, "Tai, go to cook porridge and feed him." Tai went to the stove, while his second disciple Xiaoqing was cooking. Seeing senior brother, Xiaoqing happily said, "Senior brother, the food is almost ready." Tai opened the lid of the pot and saw that it was congee, so he said, "Well, Shifu takes back a child." Xiaoqing said, "I understand." The two men were talking and cooking. After a while, they came out with congee. Tai said, "Master, you go eat while I feed you." Youzi said, "I'll feed you and go call them." Find Shuyuan www.zhaoshuyuan.com. Tai called for his second junior brother and then went to the study to call for his third disciple Mo, who was organizing books. When the three disciples arrived together, Youzi said, "This is my junior apprentice. I will take care of him more in the future. He is the emperor's grandson, and his whole family has been poisoned and killed, carrying a heavy responsibility." The three disciples said in unison, "Master, rest assured that we will be brothers." Youzi said, "Let's go eat." 4 people arrived at the table, green congee dishes, mantu. Youzi sat down first, the disciples sat down, and the master ate before they began to pick up chopsticks. Eating without words, no one speaks, and after eating, no one touches their mouth. Tai said, "Master, go meditate. I'll take my junior apprentice with me tonight and let him sleep with me in the future." Youzi said, "You're only 20 years old, can you take care of him?" Tai said, "Master, don't worry, I can keep an eye on it." Youzi said, "But you still have to practice martial arts." Tai said, "It won't delay anything, just practice with him." Xiaoqing and Zimo also said, "We will help too." Youzi smiled and looked at his disciple, nodded, and went to the meditation room to practice with satisfaction. Xiaoqing tidied up the dishes and went to wash, while Tai Bai went to the room to change Mufeng's diaper. Zimo brought hot water, and Tai Bai said, "Junior brother, thank you very much." At the age of 15, Zmo remained childish and looked at Mufeng, touching his face and laughing to tease him. Mufeng smiled. Zimo said, "Junior brother, it's really fun." Tai Bai said, "Come and see my junior brother more in the future." Zimo said, "Okay, okay." Tai Bai dressed Mufeng and picked him up, saying, "Zimo, hold him first. I'll go find his old clothes and change them into small ones." Zimo brought him over and comforted Mufeng, saying, "Junior brother. Careful teaching." You are listening at novelfull.audio. Youzi was writing an article in the bookstore, while 3-year-old Xiao Mufeng stared at the books on the bookshelf, curiously touching them with his hands. Seeing this, Youzi waved and said, "Mufeng, come here." Mufeng walked over to his master, and Youzi picked him up and sat on his lap, saying, "Do you want to learn Chinese characters?" Mufeng stared at his master with childish big eyes and nodded. "Master, I also want to read books, just like my senior brothers and the others," said in a milky voice. Youzi stroked her beard and smiled, saying, "Okay, master, I'll teach you." Youzi wrote the words and patiently taught them. Mufeng read it several times, and his master taught him to write hand by hand. He started writing very seriously. A few senior brothers returned from practicing martial arts in the water curtain cave and saw Mufeng writing. Tai Bai smiled and said, "It's too small, isn't it?" The master said, "He can learn to write and practice martial arts. If you take him to lay the foundation in the future, he will only focus on practicing and learning besides eating and sleeping. He is still young, and the three of you will take care of him. Tai Bai is responsible for teaching martial arts, Xiaoqing is responsible for eating and sleeping, and Zimo is in charge of studying. When he grows up, he will be taught by the master himself." The three disciples said, "Master, we will take good care of our junior apprentice." Mufeng grabbed Tai Bai's hand and he affectionately picked him up, saying, "You're no longer a little baby. It's been 2 years since he was born," and Mufeng treated him like a father. Youzi looked at Tai Bai and said, "I can't get used to him anymore. It's better to be strict." "Master, he's only 3 years old," said Tai Bai with a smile. Youzi remained silent and lowered her head to write. Tai Bai carried Mufeng into the courtyard, while Xiaoqing took bamboo baskets and wooden forks and barrels, barefoot. Tai Bai said, "Are you going fishing again?" As Xiaoqing walked, he said, "Yes, go to the pond and grab some fish for dinner." Mufeng clapped his hands happily and said, "There are fish." Tai Bai said, "Junior brother, can I help you?" Xiaoqing said, "No need, wait for the fresh fish soup." Tai Bai saw that Xiaoqing had gone out, so he took Mufeng to the backyard vegetable garden and looked at the chickens raised in the fence. He pulled out some vegetables and threw them in. Mufeng lay by the fence, touching the rooster through the cracks. The big rooster turned around and muttered on Mufeng's hand, causing Mufeng to retract back. "I dare not recruit it," said Tai Bai with a smile. Mufeng kicked the fence with his foot and angrily said, "The big rooster is bad." Tai Bai said, "The big rooster crows every day and wakes us up." Tai Bai went into the chicken coop and touched a few eggs, saying happily, "I laid eggs again. I can give them to Master Mufeng to eat." Tai Bai pulled out a few more Chinese cabbage and carried them back to the front yard behind Mufeng. Tai Bai put his things in the kitchen and took Mufeng to the pine and cypress trees in the courtyard. He sat down at a round stone table, and the fragrance of peaches and pears outside the courtyard. Tai Bai asked Mufeng to stand straight, with his hands flat, legs half squatting, and take a horse stance. Tai Bai said, "You practice this first, and I'll go fetch water and water the vegetables." Mufeng made a good posture and said, "Senior brother, go do something, I can practice it myself." Tai Bai went to the kitchen to pick up a wooden bucket and went to the edge of the cliff outside the courtyard to pick up the mountain spring water. Tai Bai ran a few times, and after an hour, he filled the water tank again. Tai Bai saw that Mu Feng was still the same as before, so he walked over and patted him, saying, "Okay, are your legs numb?" Mu Feng put it away and relaxed, saying, "This is good, not numb." Tai Bai said happily, "Mu Feng, after so long, your posture is not numb yet. You are the material for practicing martial arts." Mu Feng grabbed Tai Bai's arm and said, "Master, teach me." Tai Bai thought to himself, "This child is stronger than us all." Xiaoqing has returned. There are several live fish in the wooden bucket, and there are still some that are easy to kill and clean in the bamboo basket. Tai Bai said, "Junior brother, I caught so much today." "Yes, even when it's warm, it's coming out," said Xiaoqing. "Yang Zhanli pin, it's already 3 strokes of the sun," and Xiaoqing said, "Make lunch quickly." Tai Bai followed in, and Xiaoqing washed the rice and put it into the pot. Tai Bai then sat on the stove and started cooking. Xiaoqing poured the live fish into a pottery basin, filled it with water, and brought it to the table in the courtyard to raise a fire. Xiaoqing said to Mu Feng, who was squatting and playing, "Junior brother, I raised the fish for you." Mu Feng looked at the lively swimming fish and reached out to catch them, but they were too slippery to catch. Xiaoqing looked at Mu Feng and smiled, then went back to eat, washed vegetables, and cut them well. Tai Bai filled the stove with many wooden sticks and went to the backyard to pluck onions and garlic. Xiaoqing twisted the rice and controlled it with a basket. Stir-fried the vegetables, fried the big fish, and boiled the small fish in half a pot of water and tofu. Tai Bai moved the wooden table to the courtyard and served dishes, soup, and rice with Xiaoqing. Tai Bai said, "Mu Feng, go and ask master and third junior brother to have dinner." Mu Feng obediently turned around and ran to the study, leaning over the door and loudly said, "Master, let's eat now." Youzi said, "Okay, tell the Mo disciple, you go first." Zimo put down his ink stick and led Mu Feng out together. Tai Bai brought a pot of peach blossom wine and poured it for his master. Seeing only Zimo, he asked, "Where is master?" Zimo said, "Maybe it's not finished yet." Tai Bai listened and took a plate with a fish, another bowl with vegetables, and a bowl of soup, rice, and wine, and placed them on a tray. Tai Bai picked up the wooden plate and said, "You guys eat first, I'll send it to master." Tai Bai went in and placed it on the table, saying, "Master, you can be busy after eating." Youzi looked at the fish and said, "The food was good today, good food." Tai Bai said, "I took the wine." Youzi said, "Okay, go eat it quickly." Tai Bai returned to the courtyard and looked for the Shuyuan website www.zhaoshuyuan.com to see if they were still waiting. He said, "Eat quickly." Zimo tasted the fish and said, "Second senior brother, your craftsmanship is getting better and better." Tai Bai first filled the soup and placed it in front of Mu Feng, saying, "Drink more soup, grow your body, and nutrition should not be lacking." Mu Feng picked it up and drank it sizzlingly. Xiaoqing said, "Junior brother, I haven't seen any meat for some days." Tai Bai said, "Feed the chickens well and lay more eggs." Zimo said, "Why not go to the mountain to catch wild chickens?" Xiaoqing said, "There can be this, and there are also many wild rabbits and pheasants." Zimo said, "Catch a wild boar and raise it." Tai Bai said, "What are you feeding them?" "They have food on the mountain. Let's go catch one at the end of the year." Xiaoqing said, Yes, wild boars are harmful to the crops." Tai Bai carefully picked out the thorns one by one and gave the meat to Mu Feng. Mu Feng ate very well, and Xiaoqing and Zimo also picked meat for him. The 3 senior brothers finally nagged the little fish. After finishing their meal, a few people picked up the table clean. Xiaoqing is washing in the kitchen. There was no Youzi still writing in the study room. Tai Bai and Zmo gently entered, but the 2 dared not make a sound. Zmo sharpened his ink again, and Tai Bai brought a bowl back to the kitchen. Tai Bai helped Xiaoqing tidy up the kitchen. The three senior brothers went back to the water curtain cave to practice martial arts together. Mufeng stayed in the study, watching his master write, feeling very bored. I dipped my hand in water and wrote on the desk. Youzi saw Mufeng smiling like this, got up, took a book from the bookshelf, and handed it to Mufeng. Mufeng took it over and flipped through it. The characters inside were not recognized, and each page of the picture was a person practicing martial arts. Youzi said, follow the posture of the person above. Mufeng took a book to the courtyard and gestured according to the movements above. The Book of Changes. You are listening at novelfull.audio. 10 years have passed in the blink of an eye, and Mufeng has grown into a graceful young man. For so many years, he either practiced martial arts or studied literature every day. His internal skills are already very good, and he has read half of Youzi's study. Youzi saw that his disciple had a good understanding and was able to endure hardships. Find the precious edition of the I Ching Jing. He said to Mufeng, in the future, practice this book thoroughly and refine your skills. Mufeng knelt down and said, I remember. Mufeng took the authentic work with both hands, knowing that it was a rare book and a unique martial arts skill. He excitedly flipped through it. Youzi said, this is the true book passed down by the Bodhisattva, and cannot be passed on to outsiders. Mufeng asked, senior brothers, can't you also see it? Youzi said, you three senior brothers, who have followed your master to cultivate and become immortals, and studied the art of immortality, have left the martial arts world and are beyond the three realms. By practicing the Heart Sutra, their martial arts are already top-notch. Because you bear the hatred of your family and country, you need to return to this world to punish evil and promote good, prosper the country, and create blessings for the people. You need to learn a unique skill to stand firm and secure your life. Youzi said. I means to adapt, change, or detach, Jing refers to muscles, bones, and fascia, and Jing means guidelines and codes. You have reached the level of internal skill and are fully committed to studying. 1 year is easy for qi, 2 years is easy for blood, 3 years is easy for essence, 4 years is easy for pulse, 5 years is easy for marrow, 6 years is easy for bone, 7 years is easy for tendons, 8 years is easy for hair, and 9 years is easy for shape. The I Ching Jing includes 2 training methods, internal and external, each with 12 postures. The internal skill adopts a standing posture, using a certain posture and breathing induction to gradually strengthen the functions of muscles, meridians, and organs. Most use static force. Breathing should be comfortable and natural, without bursting out. There are 12 postures and exercise methods for the I Ching Jing, including Wei Tuo Xian Chu, with 3 postures, Shuixing Chang Do, Sanpan Lu, Zhan Jiao Yang Wing, Upside Down Jiu Niu Wei, Jiu Gui Ba Ma Dao, Qing Long Tan Jiao, Crouching Tiger Pounding Food, Bowing Posture, Gong Wei Posture, etc. The external skill of the I Ching Jing emphasizes external strength. The illustrated diagram of the I Ching Jing points out. When practicing external strength, one must stand facing east in a quiet place, meditate and concentrate. There is no need to exert force throughout the body, just let the qi pass through both hands. If one exerts force, one cannot pass through both hands. Each line has a pattern, silently counting 40.9 words, followed by the next line without interruption. When practicing the first line, one must be familiar with the rules of mind before practicing the second line. The speed is half a month, and the delay is 1 month. All kinds of skills are familiar, and their strength can naturally pass through the head. This method of refining energy and operating the I Ching meridian is also effective. Youzi said, do you remember these? Go practice first, only during the process of practicing can you understand. Mufeng knocked his head 3 times and said, Master, I'm going to practice. Youzi waved her hand and Mufeng withdrew from the meditation room. Mufeng, carrying a precious book, arrived at the back mountain, jumped down the waterfall, got into the cave, and began to practice. Mufeng's legs are open, his head is flat, he is looking straight, his mouth is slightly closed, and he is adjusting his breathing. With chest, waist straight, abdomen full, shoulders relaxed, the whole body naturally relaxes. Practice diligently according to the book and the teachings of your master. First move. Wei Tuo offers a pestle. Mufeng bent his elbows and slowly raised them flat to the chest in a ball-hugging posture. He bent his wrist and stood with his palms facing upwards, with the palms facing each other, about 10 centimeters away. Did the shoulder, elbow, and wrist perform 8.20 breaths in the same plane. Secondary. Muttering. During the period of standing upright, he arches his hands as his chest, calms his mind and gathers his energy, and his heart is clear and his appearance is respectful. Second move. Cross-arm demon subduing pestle. Spread your feet apart, shoulder width apart, with firm feet and slightly loose knees. Slowly extend both hands from the chest until they are raised flat on both sides, standing palm facing outward, two eyes forward looking. When inhaling, expand the chest and straighten the arms backwards. When exhaling, tilt your fingertips inward and support your palms outward. Repeatedly perform 8.20. Secondary. The secret is: hang your fingertips on the ground, keep your hands flat, keep your heart calm, and be stunned. Third power. Palm support heavenly gate. Open your feet, place your toes on the ground, and lift your heels, raise your hands above your head, palms facing upwards, and keep your middle fingers 3 centimeters apart, shoulders heavy, elbows bent, head up, looking at the back of the palms. Lick the upper palate with your tongue, and adjust your nasal breath evenly. When inhaling, use dark energy to lift both hands as much as possible and push both legs down simultaneously. When exhaling, relax your whole body and roll your palms forward and down. When closing, turn your palms into fists, move your back forward, and use your upper limbs to slowly pull your fists back to your waist, with your fists facing upwards and your heels touching the ground. Repeated 8.20. Secondary. The secret is: hold your palm on the heavenly gate and look up, stand with your toes on the ground. The muscles around the legs are as smooth as plants, and the teeth are tightly clenched without loosening. The tongue can produce saliva and lick the palate, while the nose can regulate breathing and feel at ease. The two fists slowly retracted, and with force, they held onto each other. Fourth trend. Star picking and bucket changing trend. Move your right foot slightly to the right and forward, forming a diagonal figure 8 with your left foot, and follow the trend slightly to the left. Bend your knees, lift your right heel, sink your body, and take a right empty step. Raise and straighten your right hand, with your palm facing downwards, your head slightly tilted to the right, and your eyes looking up at the palm of your right hand. Bend your left arm and place it naturally behind your back. When inhaling, lift your head upwards and hold your shoulders back. When exhaling, relax your whole body and then switch positions on both sides to exercise. Continuous 5.10. Secondary. The secret is: with one hand holding the heavenly palm, cover your head, and pour your eyes from within the palm. Inhale at the nasal end to regulate breathing, and forcefully retract the left and right muscles. Fifth move. Inverted 9 ox-tail move. Take a step forward with your right foot and bend your knee to form a right lunge. Grasp your fist with your right hand, raise it to the front and top, and observe with both eyes. Clench a fist with the left hand, bend your left arm and let it hang diagonally behind your back. When inhaling, clench your two fists tightly in a duct, with your right fist drawn to your right shoulder and your left fist hanging behind your back. When exhaling, relax your fists and arms to return to the original preparatory action. Turn your body back and take a left lunge, alternating your left and right hands. Repeated 5.10 times with breathing. Secondary. Zhaoshuyuan.com. The secret is: stretch your legs back and bend them forward, and relax your lower abdomen. Effort lies in both arms, and to observe the original, one must focus on both pupils. Sixth move. Claw out and wing bright. Move open your feet, raise your arms flat in front of you, stand your palms forward, spread your fingers apart with force, facing each other with your tiger's jaws facing each other. With angry eyes, look straight ahead and lift your heels to support your weight with your toes. Slowly separate your palms, raise your upper limbs in a straight line, stand your palms facing outwards, and follow the movement with your heels on the ground. When inhaling, extend your palms with dark force and tilt your fingers backwards. When exhaling, relax your arms and palms. Continuous 8.12. Secondary. The secret is: stand up and look angry, push your hand towards the present, when forcefully retracting, work must be done 7 times. 7th move. 9 ghosts pulling horse saber. Hold your toes together and separate your heels into an 8-figure shape, stand with arms crossed forward and palms in front of the chest. Bend the left elbow downwards and backward, with a hooked hand placed behind and fingertips pointing upwards. Bend your right elbow over your shoulder and extend it backwards, pulling your left finger to make your right hand embrace your neck. Grab the ground with your toes and lean forward like pulling out a knife. When inhaling, tighten your hands tightly and relax when exhaling. Swap left and right. Repeated 5.10 times. Secondary. The secret is: bend the humerus on one side, hold the top and neck, retracting from the head. Fu felt a strong force. Rotating left and right, with a straight and calm body. 8th trend. 3 sets of falling terrain. Take a step to the left with your left foot, bend your knees and squat into a horse stance. Keep your upper body straight, with your hands on your hips, then bend your elbows and turn your palms upwards, and lift your forearms flat as if supporting a heavy object. Take a moment to pause, flip your palms downwards, and extend your forearms to relax, as if you are putting down a heavy object. The movement follows the breath. When inhaling, it should be in the shape of a support object. When exhaling, it should be in the shape of a release object, repeated 5.10 times. Secondary. When finishing the work, slowly straighten both feet, retract the left foot, and keep both feet together in an upright position. The secret is: the upper palate is firm and supports the tongue, with eyes open and teeth focused, squatting with open feet like crouching, pressing with hands like grasping. Flip both palms together, adding to the weight of 1,000 pounds, stare and keep silent, stand firm without tilting. No Youzi. You are listening at novelfull.audio. 9th move. Qinglong probing claw. Move open your feet and use your hands as a raised fist to protect your waist. Extend your right hand to the front left, pinch your 5 fingers into a hook, and turn your upper body to the left. Rotate the waist from left to right, and then draw a horizontal circle with the right hand from left to right. When the hand reaches the upper front, tilt the upper body forward and exhale at the same time. When the hand reaches the left side of the body, straighten the upper body and inhale at the same time. Swap left and right, with opposite actions. Continuous 5.10. Secondary. The secret is: the green dragon explores its claws and exits from the left to the right. As a cultivator, one's palm chi is flat and solid, force around the shoulders and back, wrap around the knees, 2 eyes in peace, breathing and calming the heart. 10th move. Crouching tiger pouncing on food. Take a big step to the right with your right foot, bend your right knee and squat down, forming a right bow and left crouching posture. Lean your upper body forward, hold your hands on the ground, lift your head slightly, and focus on the front and lower parts. When inhaling, simultaneously extend both arms, raise the upper body and lean forward as much as possible, and shift the center of gravity forward. When exhaling, simultaneously bend your elbow, lower your chest, retract your upper body, shift your center of gravity back, and prepare to move forward. So repeatedly, with the breath, the arms bend and stretch, the upper body undulates, and the front is extended and the back is retracted, like a fierce tiger pouncing on it. Continuous action 5.10. Next, switch to the left bow and right crouching posture, and perform the same action as before. The secret is: Crouch your legs apart as if leaning forward, bend and stretch your left and right legs together, raise your head and chest as if exploring the front, and bend your back and waist as if flattening them. Nasal breathing and energy regulation are both in and out, with fingertips resting on the ground for support. The act of subduing dragons and subduing tigers is a matter of immortality, and learning it is truly hygienic. 11th gesture. Bowing gesture. Open both feet and buckle the toes inside. Slowly raise your palms to the left and right, tightly embrace the back of your head, and tap your fingers on the cerebellum for a moment. Perform bending movements with breathing coordination. When inhaling, keep your body straight, look forward with your eyes, and your head as if pressing against something. When exhaling, bend down with straight knees and use both hands to make a bow with your head between your knees, keeping your heels off the ground. Repeated 8.20 based on physical strength. Secondary. The secret is: hold your brain with both hands together, and lower your waist to the knees. The head only touches the crotch, and the mouth becomes even more jagged. Cover your ears with intelligence and teach you to stop, regulate your vitality and free yourself from idleness. The tip of the tongue is still against the palate, and the force is on the elbows. 12th move. Work tail posture with legs open, hands raised from the chest to the top of the head with palms raised slowly, looking at the palms and moving them, standing upright, without protruding the chest or abdomen. Cross your fingers, twist your wrist and lift your palm upwards, with your palms facing upwards. Bend your waist backwards and look up, then bend your upper body forward, hang your arms down, push your palms to the ground, and hold your head high and stare. When exhaling, bend down and slightly lift the heel off the ground. When inhaling, stand up with your upper body and your heels on the ground. Repeat this 21 times. Retreat. Stand upright, lift both arms left and right, bend and extend 7 times. The secret is: straighten your knees and extend your arms, push your hands from the ground, stare and hold your head high, focused and determined, stand up and pause for 20.1 times, extend your arms left and right, with 7 as your aspiration, do more sitting exercises, cross your knees and droop your canthus, inject the mouth into the heart, regulate the breath into the nose. Calmness arises from stillness, and strength is maintained in preparation. 12th trend. Work tail trend. Open your legs, lift your palms up from the chest to the top of your head, with your eyes on the palms, stand upright, and do not raise your chest or abdomen. Cross your fingers, twist your wrist and lift your palms upwards, tilt your palms upwards, bend your waist backwards, and look up, then bend your upper body forward, hang your arms down, push your palms to the ground, and hold your head high and stare. When exhaling, bend down and slightly lift the heel off the ground. When inhaling, stand up with your upper body and your heels on the ground. Repeat this 21 times. Retreat. Stand upright, lift both arms left and right, bend and extend 7 times. The secret is: straighten your knees and extend your arms, push your hands from the ground, stare and hold your head high, focused and determined, stand up and pause for 20.1 times, extend your arms left and right, with 7 as your aspiration, do more sitting exercises, cross your knees and droop your canthus, inject the mouth into the heart, regulate the breath into the nose. Calmness arises from stillness, and strength is maintained in preparation. Mufeng stays in the cave every day. Tai Bai delivers 3 meals a day, sleeps on the cave mat when tired, washes under the waterfall when dirty, and also takes away and changes dirty clothes. So, 6 whole months have passed. Mufeng only remembered the 12 moves. He knew they were just superficial, and he would have to practice them hard next. When the mid-autumn festival came, Tai Bai said, "Shifu asked you to go back for the festival." Mufeng walked out of the cave, and the autumn of Yunmeng Mountain was beautiful. Clouds and mist shrouded the mountain, wild chrysanthemums bloomed all over the slope, and red leaves reflected in the green. Mufeng returned to the Zen temple, and his master saw him with long hair and beard, jokingly saying, "The savage is here." Mufeng said awkwardly, "Master, I haven't seen you for so long and miss you very much." Thanks to the care of the 3 senior brothers, Mufeng was able to practice with peace of mind. Tai Bai took scissors and asked Mufeng to sit down, saying, let me cut your hair and beard. Xiaoqing said, Junior brother, I caught the mountain chicken and rabbit. A few masters and disciples sat under the bright moonlight, enjoying the cool breeze. Youzi said, Mufeng, take a walk. Mufeng knew that his master was going to test his grades. I went to the center of the courtyard and played the 12 movements of Di Jin Jin Jin, which was completed in one go and flowed smoothly. Youzi nodded with satisfaction and said, I have remembered it, but the essence still needs years of practice to achieve positive results. Mufeng bowed and said, Thank you, master. Tai Bai broke off the chicken leg and handed it to Mufeng, saying, Eat it quickly. Youzi said, Your 4 senior brothers have been on the mountain for many years. At the age of 5, Tai Bai wandered the streets begging for food and followed his master up the mountains for 25 years. Now, his martial arts cultivation is top-notch. At the age of 3, Xiaoqing was infected with a plague and his family passed away. After being rescued by his master, he saved his life and followed him for 24 years. His martial arts skills were also at the forefront. Zimo is an orphan of a criminal minister who sought help from Shuyuan www.zhaoshuyuan.com as his disciple in the Dharma field. He is only 10 years old and has been with his senior brother for over 10 years. He can still cultivate for a few more years. You 3 senior brothers have taken care of Mufeng for 10 years and respect me as my father. You are kind-hearted, hardworking and brave, and I am very happy to be a teacher. If you want to go down the mountain, I am willing to let you go. The 4th disciple knelt down and said, Master, you have saved us and taught us martial arts. I am willing to follow you for life and not enter the secular world. Youzi said, Mufeng, get up. In the future, you will return to the court to inherit the throne and benefit the people. Master is the one who will help you. Mufeng said, Master, you will always be my reincarnated parents. Youzi smiled and said, Master is a practitioner of Taoism and immortality, and it is our duty to save all sentient beings. Mufeng said, Master, are you going to the heavenly court? Youzi smiled and said, I am currently practicing, and your ancestor has transformed into an immortal and flown away. The 4 disciples asked at the same time, Really? Youzi said, Yes, his elderly family has taken us as apprentices for several hundred years, and he has been a teacher for 200 years. Looking at the young master, who was only 50 years old, his disciples were so stunned that they couldn't speak. However, master usually comes and goes without a trace, flying back and forth. With just 1 finger of divine skill, he can chop stones and iron. Tai Bai said, Master, you should be the most powerful, right? Youzi said, Master does not strive for fame in the martial arts world, only focuses on cultivation, saving lives, and does not mix with the love of the mortal world. Zimo said, Master, this is too great. Teach your disciples. Youzi said, Practice slowly, your heart moves with your thoughts. Your body is just a shell, and your mind is calm. You are still young, so don't talk much. I'm going to practice alchemy, and you can take advantage of the holiday to have some fun. Youzi finished speaking and left, leaving his disciples dumbfounded. Truly learned. You are listening at novelfull.audio. There are 2 initial foundations for those who claim to ascend to the right fruit. One is clear deficiency, and the other is detachment and exchange. If one can clear deficiency, there is no obstacle, and if one can detachment and exchange, there is no obstacle. Only when there is no obstacle, can one enter and exit from the fixed state. Knowing this, there is a foundation for entering the path. As the saying goes, those who clear deficiency wash their marrow, those who detach and exchange, they change their tendons. The theory of washing the essence states that human beings are born out of desire, and once they fall into the tangible body, their organs, limbs, and bones are stained with impurities and impurities. They must be thoroughly washed without any flaws or obstacles before they can step through the door of extraordinary enlightenment. Otherwise, there is no foundation for entering the path. Those who wash their marrow want to clear their interior, those who change their muscles want to strengthen their external strength. If one can be quiet inside and sturdy outside, and ascend the longevity domain between the palms, there is no harm but success. And it is said that the tendons and bones of the human body are received from the fetus, including those with relaxed tendons, those with contracted tendons, those with weak tendons, those with contracted tendons, those with strong tendons, those with relaxed tendons, those with strong tendons, and those with harmonious tendons, all of which are different and are known from the fetus. If the tendons are relaxed, they will be sick; if the tendons are contracted, they will be thin; if the tendons are weak, they will be flaccid; if the tendons are weak, they will be relaxed; if the tendons are contracted, they will be dead; if the tendons are strong, they will be strong; if the tendons are relaxed, they will be long; if the tendons are strong, they will be strong; if the tendons are strong, they will be strong. If a person has no emptiness and obstacles inside, and no firmness and obstacles outside, how can they enter the Tao? Therefore, when entering the Tao, one should not start by changing the tendons to strengthen the body, and strengthen the inside to assist the outside. Otherwise, the Tao will also be difficult to predict. What he said is easy to understand, but easy to understand is great. Yi is the way of yin and yang. Courage is the ease of change. The changes of Yi may exist in yin and yang, but the changes of yin and yang actually exist in humans. Playing with the sun and moon in the pot, fighting against the yin and yang on the palm. Therefore, the two vertical systems are inseparable from humans. So it is easy for those who are empty and real, easy for those who are hard and soft, and easy for those who are still and moving. Those who are high and low can change their rise and fall, those who are later can change their pace and urgency, those who are in line with adversity can change their movement, those who are in danger can change their safety, those who are in chaos can change their governance, those who are in danger can change their blessings, those who are in danger can change their preservation, those who are in strength can change their recovery, and those who are in heaven and earth can change their ups and downs. How could this be the result of change? As for the muscles and bones of a human body, it cannot be easily changed. Ranjin is the meridian of the human body. Outside the joints, within the muscles, with all four limbs and bones, there is no place but tendons, no meridians or collaterals, connecting the whole body, passing through blood vessels, and serving as a supplement to the mind. Like the ability of a person's shoulders to bear, hands to grasp, feet to walk, and the liveliness and agility of the whole body, all of which have strong tendons. How can one tolerate relaxation, spasms, fatigue, and weakness? Those who are sick, thin, flaccid, or lax would rather have them enter the Tao. The Buddha used the method of reconciling and mediating, making it easier for those with contracted tendons to relax, for those with weak tendons to strengthen, for those with relaxed tendons to reconcile, for those with contracted tendons to lengthen, and for those with weak tendons to strengthen. The body of cotton mud can be transformed into iron and stone, which is the result of Yi. The benefit of the body, the foundation of the saint, is one end of its ear. Therefore, yin and yang are held by people, and yin and yang cannot be considered as yin and yang on their own. Everyone becomes their own, but do not be a soloist of yin and yang. Driven by blood and qi, it is easy to become a body of gold and stone. Only when there are no obstacles inside and no obstacles outside can one enter and exit steadily. However, this gentleman's kung fu is not a trivial matter. And the achievements are gradual, the methods are internal and external, the qi is applied, the actions have a beginning and an end, until the medicine and equipment are made, and the seasons and years are numbered. Drinking, eating, living, and living have their own characteristics. Those who enter the realm of learning should first have faith, then establish a strong heart, courageously move forward, strive for excellence like the Dharma, persist in their actions, and ascend to the sacred realm without exception. Youzi said, this is what is said in the scriptures. You must understand and practice with your heart. Over time, you can become a body of gold and steel. Mu Feng knelt down and kowtowed, saying, "Master, I remember." Youzi said, "You have a good understanding and are naturally skilled in martial arts. When you reach adulthood, you will be able to display your patriotism." Mufeng bowed and said, "Thank you, Master." Youzi said, "Go ahead." Mufeng plunged into the water curtain hole, practicing each move according to the instructions in the book, and mastering them thoroughly. Experience different feelings in practice, and then refer to the scriptures to see if there are any deviations. Mufeng has reached a state of obsession, where he can stay awake and meditate while sleeping. Tai Bai brought food and saw that he was working hard, so he advised, "Mufeng, take a break when you're tired." Mufeng said, "Senior brother, it's not tiring. This is to practice mental tranquility and eliminate distractions." Tai Bai said, "Okay, if you don't understand, ask Master. Don't get angry. Second senior brother has specially made fish soup for you." Tai Bai poured out the tofu and fish soup from the pottery jar and handed it to Mufeng. Mufeng took a sip and said, "It's so fresh." Watching Mufeng gulp down, Tai Bai smiled and looked at his junior apprentice, who was only 13 or 14 years old, who was about to practice the highest martial arts skill in the martial arts world. He couldn't help but feel heartbroken inside. Mufeng sighed and asked, "Senior brother, what's wrong with you?" Tai Bai thought of his master's words and quickly shook his head, saying, "It's okay. You can practice with peace of mind, and we will protect you." Mufeng smiled and said, "Thank you to the 3 senior brothers for helping me." Tai Bai said, "This is all within our responsibilities. You are the one who wants to do big things, and we are not as good as you." Mufeng said, "Senior brother, it's you who help me. You don't have to work too hard. It's enough to send it once a day. Just take more mantu and drink spring water." Tai Bai said, "This won't work. You need to eat something hot." Mufeng smiled and said, "Senior brother, you forgot. I'm practicing martial arts and can digest even dirt and bumps." Tai Bai said, "Are you alone here feeling bored?" Mufeng said, "If you're not feeling stuffy, you need to be calm in your heart. Only by integrating your mind and actions can you be focused." Tai Bai said, "All right, I won't disturb you when you go to Shuyuan www.zhaoshuyuan.com. After practicing for a few years, you can make it." Mufeng said, "Senior brother, thank you for your love for Mufeng." Tai Bai patted Mufeng's head and said, "Junior brother, you were raised by me. I'm almost as old as your father, so I might spoil you a bit." Mufeng was about to kneel down and kowtow, but Tai Bai quickly grabbed him and said, "Senior brother has no intention of expressing gratitude." Mufeng said, "I know, you love Mufeng the most. Hello, practice well. I won't disturb you in the future," said Tai Bai, turning around and leaving. Mufeng looked at the figure of his senior brother and muttered to himself, "Are you angry?" "No, senior brother never gets angry." Mufeng abandons all distractions, focuses on practicing martial arts, meditates, from the inside out, unblocks meridians, promotes smooth qi and blood flow, solidifies the vital energy of the 5 organs and 6 organs, and expels turbid qi. From membrane to tendon, it is flexible and sturdy, as soft as mud and as strong as steel, protecting the meridians. Mufeng takes the essence of heaven and earth according to the book. The essence of the sun and the splendor of the yin, the fusion of the 2 energies, and the transformation of all things. The day is taken at the beginning of the month, which means that at the turn of the month, its qi is new and can be taken from the essence of the day. Shua takes the essence of the sun, yin and mao, silently aligns at high altitudes, evenly inhales the radiance, closes a mouthful, closes the breath and concentrates, swallows it carefully, and sends it with intention. As for the central palace, it is a swallow. 7 swallows, quiet for a moment, then set off, obedient to rewards, without any hindrance. When the moon is taken from the horizon, it is said to be full of gold and water, and its qi is positive and vigorous, worthy of capturing the beauty of the moon. If there is cloudy or rainy weather or insufficient value on the day of Shua Wang, choose the 2nd, 3rd, 16th, and 17th days of the Lunar New Year, so as to concentrate and make up for it. Looking at the moonlight, also following the previous method, in the hour of Shuhai, swallowing 7 swallows. This is the natural benefit of heaven and earth, which can only be enjoyed by those who have perseverance, only those who have faith can use it. It took Mu Feng 5 years to complete all of the Yi Jin Jing and cultivate it into a true skill. Jianghu disputes. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Youzi sat in the courtyard, gazing at Mu Feng, who was full of vitality, upright, with a jade tree facing the wind and a cool and handsome demeanor. Mu Feng knelt down and said, "Master, the disciple has returned." Youzi patted Mu Feng's solid chest muscles and said, "Get up, your condition is good." Mu Feng stood up, Youzi secretly exerted her strength, and Mu Feng remained motionless. Youzi said, "This is a body protection exercise to resist external forces. Your internal skills have indeed improved a lot, and you still need to practice and integrate other martial arts." Mu Feng chopped at a stone, which immediately shattered into several pieces. A few senior brothers clapped their hands and cheered. Youzi looked at it and said, "In the future, you will continue to practice every day and read books. Read all the books in the room." Mu Feng said, "Master, I understand now." Tai Bai went to make the bed for Mu Feng, while Xiaoqing took Mu Feng to the kitchen and brought out roasted chicken for him to eat. Mu Feng said, "Second senior brother, it's so fragrant." Xiaoqing said, "Senior brother's laying hens are specially roasted for you." Mu Feng pulled a chicken leg and handed it to Xiaoqing. Xiaoqing said, "You eat it, second senior brother doesn't like it." Mu Feng went to the study again and saw Zimo sorting books, giving him the chicken legs. Zimo said, "Junior apprentice, you eat, I don't like it." Mu Fengfei stuffed it into Zimo's mouth, and Youzi came in to see it. He smiled and said, "Zmo, you can eat it." Mu Feng quickly slipped away. In the early morning, for senior brothers will be practicing martial arts on the mountain, and in the morning, the third senior brother will go to the mountain to dig herbs. Give alms to the poor and master to practice alchemy. Mu Feng never does anything, only practices martial arts, reads and writes, and reads books on governance and national security. Youzi should practice in seclusion for 7 days on a regular basis and not be disturbed by anyone. When Youzi was practicing martial arts in the Mu Feng, he traveled to Xianshan and Mingchuan for a year. Several disciples each fulfilled their duties and looked after their homes. Usually, a barrier is set up at the foot of the mountain, and those with low martial arts skills cannot break through. On this day, there seemed to be a collision in the barrier at the foot of the mountain. Youzi, who was meditating, heard the commotion and left the meditation room. He said to Tai Bai, "Go and see who broke in." Tai Bai flew down the mountain. Mu Feng looked at his master and said, "Master, how did you hear from so far away?" Youzi said, "This is called the 1,000-mile transmission of sound. When one reaches a certain level of martial arts, they can hear any wind or grass moving within a few miles. That's why a person who is asleep can be unaffected by others, and even the slightest movement can startle them. Unless they have a higher level of Taoism, they can remain silent and even hold their breath close." Mu Feng said, "How to use power?" Youzi said, "Run the whole body's true qi to your ears and listen to the outside." Mu Feng followed suit and said happily, "Master, I heard the mountain breeze and birds chirping." Youzi said, "Practice well." Tai Bai helped back a 70-year-old man with white hair, covered in injuries and one arm cut off, feeling as angry as a thread. Youzi said, "Take the pill." Zimo brought a pill bottle, and Youzi took out a pill and fed it into the visitor's mouth, gently patting it and taking it down. Youzi straightened the patient again, sitting in front of him with his back facing him. He slapped his palms on his vest, and the patient spat out black blood and took a breath. Youzi said, "Tai Bai is resting on the bed, and I have prepared some good herbs for him. I have boiled them and fed them to him 3 times a day. He is very attentive. Tai Bai carried the patient to the guest room, and Youzi wrote the prescription and handed it to Zmo, saying, "Prepare according to this." Youzi asked Tai Bai, "Where is his arm? It can be connected." Tai Bai said, "Master, I saw that he had broken his arm and the wound was rotten. It must have been a long time." Youzi looked at the wound and asked Tai Bai to bring a knife, grill it over the fire, then cut off the rotten flesh on her arm, apply herbs, and wrap it with a cloth. Mufeng felt deeply when he saw his master save someone for the first time. He came to the kitchen and saw Xiaoqing burning a fire and boiling medicine. Mufeng asked, "Second senior brother, who has caused so much harm to this person?" Xiaoqing said, "It should be an enemy. This person also has some martial arts skills, and the person who injured him is definitely not an ordinary person." Mufeng said, "Second senior brother, how did you know?" Xiaoqing said, "Observing, the minor injuries of the common people are all treated by the senior brother, and it's just a herbal treatment." This time, the master father took the initiative and used his true qi to expel the poison from his body. He fed him pills, but there were very few pills. The master has been practicing the resurrection pill for many years. Mufeng nodded, as if lost in thought. The patient was raised for 2 days and finally woke up from a coma. Tai Bai said happily, "You finally woke up. Master saved you." The patient grabbed Tai Bai with one hand and said, "But Mr. Youzi." Tai Bai said, "Exactly." The patient said, "Call me sir, I have something to say." Youzi led his disciples, and the patient was about to get out of bed and salute. Youzi held him down and said, "You can't move." The patient said, "Sir, I am a former imperial teacher. 18 years ago, the late emperor wanted to appoint Prince Huai as the crown prince. Prince Huai, who was in charge of military power, was summoned to the capital. Overnight, he was brutally defeated by a martial arts expert called by the righteous king. The deputy officer fled with the prince, and heard that the gentleman was benevolent and skilled in martial arts. My father wrote a letter asking the deputy officer to send Mufeng to learn martial arts to save his life. Youzi pulled Mufeng and said, "This is the little prince. After reading your letter, I understand this matter. As practitioners, we have achieved great righteousness and saved the world." He has practiced the Di Jin Jing. The national teacher saw Mufeng and said happily, "There is a pulse in the yellow room, so it won't fall into the hands of thieves." Youzi said, "Master Gua, tell me what's going on." The national teacher said, "After the death of the late emperor, the righteous king ascended to the throne. He first killed the entire family of the loyal king who had befriended the Huai king and seized military power. The righteous king was extravagant and promiscuous, disregarding court politics. The military teacher was a Persian wizard who controlled the emperor, and he ate the enchanting pill every day and killed loyal officials. The military teacher and the cult Lin Xiaotian, the sea flower, were together. They went to the book garden www.zhaoshuyuan.com to practice magic skills. They needed to constantly absorb people's energy, so the national teacher built a shrine for them, sacrificed blood to the heavenly platform, and sent live people every day. Lin Xiaotian wanted to practice magic skills and become the leader of the martial arts alliance. For the sake of youthfulness and beauty, the sea flower practices the technique of returning to spring for young girls and specializes in absorbing children's yang energy. I have already retired and returned to my hometown. There are loyal and kind people who tell the truth. I went to Black Shark Island to investigate the situation, but was injured by Lin Xiaotian. I cut off my arm and threw it into the sea to feed the shark. Youzi said angrily. Back at the foot of the mountain, I even taught the two of them a lesson, but I didn't expect to be stubborn and harm the people. The national teacher said, I came here with my last breath to find Mufeng, return to the court to reclaim the throne, kill 2 demons, and restore the purity of the world. Youzi said, it's time for him to fulfill his duties. The national teacher held Mu Feng's hand and said eagerly, "Little prince, the throne belongs to your family. Go back to seek revenge, eliminate harm for the people, be a good emperor, and benefit the people." Mu Feng had already been crying uncontrollably, nodding and saying, "Grandpa, don't worry, I will do my best." The national teacher smiled and said to Youzi, "Sir, I can leave with peace of mind." After speaking, the national teacher closed his eyes. Mu Feng burst into tears and said, "Master, how did Grandpa die?" Youzi said, "He has already broken his meridians, damaged his 5 internal organs, and taken the bone erosion powder. He just took the pill, regained his radiance, and had something important to tell him to hold his breath." Mu Feng finally understood. Youzi said, "Tai Bai, your senior brother should wash him clean, put on his clothes, and carry him to a small cave on a distant cliff where no one is going. He should put it in and seal the entrance with stones to prevent wild animals and eagles from entering, so that the old man can transcend as soon as possible." Youzi looked at Mu Feng and said, "He has shown kindness to you and sent the old man on his last journey." Taihua Mountain. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Youzi said. "Mu Feng, it's time to fulfill the heavy responsibility you shoulder. But with your current kung fu, you can't defeat Lin Xiaotian and Hai Haihua. They are also seniors in the martial arts world and belong to the same sect as me. They were expelled from the sect because they fell into the demon sect. You need to learn another unparalleled martial arts skill to seek revenge. Taihua Mountain and Jiang Yunzhou are your second martial uncle. Wuying Sword is his ultimate skill, creating the Huashan school." Youzi handed a letter to Mu Feng. Mu Feng knelt down and kowtowed 3 times. Reluctantly, he said, "Master, I have left and will come to see you again in the future." Youzi waved his hand and turned to go to the meditation room. Mu Feng looked at his master's back and cried out with a crying voice, "Master." Tai Bai picked up Mu Feng and handed him a bundle, saying, "Junior brother, there are pancakes and clothes inside. Take care of yourself." Xiao Qing held a cloak and put it on Mu Feng's head. Zimo held Mu Feng's hand and said, "Junior brother, I really can't bear to let you go. Are you still coming back?" Mu Feng hugged Zimo and said, "Don't you know yet? It depends on the situation. I will come to see my master and you." Tai Bai said, "Let's go, it's getting late." Mu Feng hugged Xiao Qing and went down the cliff with Tai Bai. Along the path, there was a waterfall on one side. Mu Feng quietly wiped his eyes with his hand, then turned around to look at his second and third senior brothers waving their hands and following him down the mountain. Yunmeng Mountain is like spring all year round, with evergreen trees, unbeatable flowers, flowing mountains, rivers, and waterfalls, and a serene canyon. It is truly a fairy mountain dream. Mu Feng looked at these beautiful scenery and found it difficult to let go. At the entrance of the mountain, Tai Bai opened the barrier and looked at Mu Feng, saying, "Junior brother, the martial arts world is dangerous, be careful of bad people." Mu Feng hugged Tai Bai and said, "Senior brother, thank you for serving me for 15 years. Tai Bai smiled and said, "We are destined to meet. It's not a big deal. Everyone has different paths. You are a dragon and phoenix among people, so you should go and uphold justice. Unlike the 3 senior brothers who are far away from the martial arts world." Mu Feng really doesn't want to leave, he turns around 3 times a step. Tai Bai watched as his junior apprentice walked away and set up a new barrier. Mu Feng strode with great strides, dressed in white clothes and exuding a chivalrous spirit, heading towards Chang'an. Mu Feng travels 100 miles a day, and at night, he burns a fire on the field, eats some pancakes, and sleeps on the branches for a few hours before continuing on his journey. In a few days, we arrived at the ancient capital of Chang'an. Chang'an Street was very bustling, and Mu Feng didn't enjoy it. Thinking it wasn't far away, he found an inn to stay overnight. Mu Feng found a table to sit down, put the bundle aside, and glanced at the hall. There were many people traveling from south to north, including merchants and officials. Mufeng ordered a bowl of noodles, and the waiter looked at him and recommended beef. Mufeng felt embarrassed to refuse, so he took it. Mufeng took off his cloak, tied his black hair at the top, and wore a long white robe, exuding a confident and graceful demeanor, becoming the most dazzling figure in the inn. Everyone cast strange gazes. Mufeng lowered his head to eat. He had never been down the mountain before, and as someone who had seen the world before, he couldn't help feeling a bit anxious. He quickly finished his meal and went to pick up the package, but it disappeared. He looked around and saw a person with a sly expression at the door, clutching his bundle and rushing out. Mufeng took a swift step and rushed to the door, grabbing the thief with one hand. With a gentle lift, he lifted him into the air. The thief was so scared that he screamed and quickly begged for mercy. "Good man, spare your life. I apologize for my mistake." Everyone was applauding and cheering. Mufeng retrieved his belongings and let the thief go without making it difficult to hit him. He remembered his master's words. "We must spare people and spare them." Everyone clapped and cheered, and the thief left in a disheveled manner. Mufeng paid for the meal and asked for another room, so he went upstairs to rest. The next day, Mufeng got up early and ate pita bread soaked in lamb soup in the inn. "Let's set off. The market hasn't even opened yet," so he walked through the street to the east, and Taihua Mountain is just east of Chang'an. After walking for a day, Mufeng arrived at the boundary of Huayin and saw the majestic western Mount Taihua, known as the most dangerous mountain in the world. Looking at Taihua Mountain from afar, peaks rise from the ground, each not connected, with countless forms. Some are like winding pine trees, some are like a blooming lotus, and some are like a sharp sword. The dangerous peak stands tall and the strange rocks are rugged, as if one accidentally falls down. Mufeng remembered what was said in the book, that the historical evolution of Taihua Mountain can be traced back to 2.7 billion years. The Classic of Mountains and Seas Records. Taihua Mountain is cut into 4 directions, with a height of 5,000 ren and a width of 10 miles. The scenery of Mount Hua varies throughout the 4 seasons. Mufeng arrived at the foot of Taihua Mountain, and at the entrance of the mountain, a disciple of the Huashan sect saw an outsider and quickly asked, "Who is here?" Mufeng bowed and said, "I have no disciples of Youzi below. Come and learn from my master." The disciple quickly ran back to the monastery and said to the thin Taoist who was practicing swordsmanship, "Master, there is a young man who claims to be a disciple of Youzi at the entrance of the mountain." Upon hearing this, Jianghu immediately withdrew his sword and said, "Your esteemed guest, please come quickly." The disciple returned and opened the stone gate, saying, "Please." Mufeng followed his disciples up the high steps and arrived at Yuchuan Academy. Yuchuan Court is located at the southernmost end of Yuchuan Road, serving as the gateway to Mount Taihua and the starting point of a road in Huashan. Yuchuan Courtyard is the residence of the Huashan sect, backed by Huashan Mountain, with a magnificent momentum. Surrounded by red walls, gray tiles, and towering ancient trees, the courtyard is shrouded in green shade, with winding corridors. Mufeng passed through the yard and arrived at the reception hall, where many chairs were placed on both sides. Jianghu stood at the door, surveying Mufeng, stroking his beard, and nodding in satisfaction. Mufeng quickly knelt down and kowtowed, saying, "I am the 4th disciple of Youzi. I will go to the Shuyuan www.zhaoshuyuan.com to pay my respects to my senior uncle." Jianghu quickly helped Mufeng up and said, "Dear nephew, how are you, senior brother?" Mufeng stood up and said, "Uncle Xie, master is very good." The two sat down. Mufeng took out a letter and presented it to Jianghu with both hands. Jianghu opened the letter and started reading. Mufeng saw that Shishu was mentally healthy, thin and tall, with white hair and long beard, probably over 100 years old. After reading the letter, Jianghu said, "Okay, stay here, my dear nephew. I will definitely pass on my unique skills to you." Mufeng quickly knelt down and said, "Master, please accept my disciple's worship." Jiang Yunzhou went to pull Mu Feng and used 5 successful attempts to test, but Mu Feng remained motionless. Jiang Yunzhou exclaimed, "You have practiced the Di Jin Jing." Mu Feng said, "Yes, master." Jiang Yunzhou said, "That's good. The internal skills and true qi are already excellent, and learning swordsmanship will be easy." Jiang Yunzhou instructed the senior disciple next to him, Huafeng, "Take him to eat first, pack a single room for him to live in." Mufeng followed him around a few corners and went to the dining hall behind. Huafeng told his disciples to bring pickled vegetables and slow-head congee. Mufeng ate it greedily. He was really hungry. Huafeng called his junior brother to clean the room. After Mufeng had eaten his fill, Huafeng took him outside the courtyard to take a shower under the waterfall behind the mountain. It's summer, the mountains and waters are cool and comfortable. Mufeng returned to his room and fell asleep. The mountain was cool and the breeze was refreshing, and his sleep was particularly pleasant. Mufeng was very tired from his journey, so he slept until the morning. When he woke up, the sun was shining brightly. The disciples of the Huashan sect have completed their morning exercises. Jiang Yunzhou happened to come and see him. Mufeng felt embarrassed and said, "Master, I woke up late." Jiang Yunzhou kindly said, "Long journeys are specially designed to give you more sleep." Shadowless Sword. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Jiang Yunzhou asked, "Wise nephew, are you still used to it?" Mufeng said, "That's great. Since I have already become a disciple of the Huashan sect, master doesn't need to be polite." Jiang Yunzhou said, "It was already late yesterday. You went to the cafeteria to have dinner and met your master's mother and son in the backyard." Mufeng said, "I understand, master." Mufeng arrived at the cafeteria, and the cook uncle was a bit chubby and had a friendly face. He smiled and said, "New here. The master instructed me to keep it for you." Mufeng smiled and said, "Sorry, I overslept." Uncle said, "It's okay." Mufeng served congee, mantou and pickles. After eating, Mufeng came to the backyard, where Jiang Yunzhou lived. The backyard is not large, with 1 bedroom and 2 bedrooms, each with 3 rooms. The main room is the family of Jiang Yunzhou, and the wing room is the family of the left and right elders. Mufeng leads to the main room, a hall with bedrooms on both sides. Jiang Yunzhou sat at the 8 immortals table, seemingly waiting for Mufeng. Mufeng walked in and bowed, saying, "Master, I'm here." Jiang Yunzhou waved his hand and said, "Sit down." Mufeng sat down in the guest chair by the side. Jiang Yunzhou shouted, "Come out." A man in his 30s, somewhat handsome, wearing a pink and green dress, walked out of the bedroom on the right. The woman twisted her waist and came out with all kinds of charm. The woman couldn't help but stare at the handsome and carefree Mufeng, feeling a bit overwhelmed. Jiang Yunzhou coughed, and the woman quickly averted her gaze and said in a coquettish voice, "Is this your nephew?" Jiang Yunzhou said, "Madam, Mufeng is the disciple of the senior brother who closed the door. I recommend him here. My virtuous nephew is a noble person." Jiang Yunzhou's implied meaning. "You must not be frivolous." Mufeng quickly bowed and said, "I've seen auntie before." Madame took Mufeng's hand and said with a smile, "What a handsome young man." Mufeng blushed and awkwardly withdrew her hand. The woman giggled, her flower branches trembling and wandering. Jiang Yunzhou frowned and coughed a few more times, indicating that the woman was reserved. At this moment, a man came in, sweating profusely, and as he entered the door, he said, "Dad, why did you ask me to come back?" Jiang Yunzhou said, "Chinner, this is Mufeng. He came from Yunmengshan and should be his cousin." Mufeng immediately bowed and said, "I have seen my elder brother. Huachen is about 30 years old, somewhat lazy. He is 5 feet tall, thin and weak, and appears to have average martial arts skills." Huachen said unhappily, "Just call me back, I'm chasing rabbits." Jiang Yunzhou said angrily, rebel son, don't practice martial arts well. Hua Chen ignored him and sat down casually, his eyes tilted, muttering, who's to blame? It's not because my mother left early that no one cares. Mrs. Jiang quickly stepped forward and helped him wipe the sweat off his forehead, saying, Master, you can't say a few words less. Jiang Yunzhou looked at the two of them, speechless with anger. Mufeng saw that the situation was not very good, so he said goodbye. Mufeng vaguely felt that Uncle Jiang was not very happy. After leaving the courtyard, Hua Feng was already waiting. Mufeng called out, Senior brother. Hua Feng said, Junior brother, go to the practice field. Mufeng was discharged from the hospital with Hua Feng and arrived at a large platform on the back mountain where Huashan sect disciples were practicing swordsmanship. Dozens of disciples dressed in white and with slender postures, holding precious swords, are practicing swordsmanship. They have agile figures, smooth movements, and each move is consistent without any deviation. Mufeng asked, Senior brother, how long have these disciples been practicing? Hua Feng said, they have been practicing for about 3 years or more. Hua Feng pointed to the leader and said, Elder Zhua. Looking at Mufeng, he is in his 40s and 50s, exuding a chivalrous aura. Hua Feng waved his hand, an elder left flew up, stabbing Mufeng with a sword. Hua Feng was startled and quickly wanted to draw his sword to protect him. Elder Zhua, this is junior brother. What are you doing? Mufeng said calmly, Senior brother, there's no need to panic. Mufeng used his true qi and exerted all his strength. As soon as his sword fell, it was bounced back. Mufeng flew up and fought against Elder Zhua. Elder Zhua launched a strong attack, while Mufeng calmly defended and cracked his moves. Mufeng knew that Elder Zhua was testing his martial arts skills. As a junior, Mufeng wouldn't retaliate, which was too impolite. All the disciples stopped and stared intently at the competition between the two. Seeing that Mufeng was young, his lightness skills were comparable to those of the left elder, and he could withstand multiple moves, he praised them all. After more than 10 rounds, Elder Zhua withdrew his sword and landed. Mufeng also fell to the ground and bowed with both hands, saying, Senior uncle, I have offended you. Elder Zhua put his sword in and handed it to Hua Feng. Elder Zhua approached Mufeng and patted his chest, saying, Young man, not bad. You have learned the essence of the Di Jin Jing. Youzi asked you to learn this skill, indicating that you must be a talented person. Heroes emerge from youth. Everyone was amazed when they heard it. The I Jin Jing is the most advanced martial arts, and even more so, it is a rare copy. Mufeng said, Master praised me too much. Mufeng bears family grudges, and his master adopted the teachings. I am grateful for the kindness of his elderly family. Elder Zhua said again, Are you here for the schoolmaster's Shadowless Sword? Mufeng said, Yes, senior uncle, I want revenge. Elder Zhua said, Study hard, I can't wait for you. Mufeng said, I am young and inexperienced, so I should learn from my senior colleagues. Elder Zhua likes Mufeng for his handsome and elegant demeanor, as well as his noble demeanor. He has excellent martial arts skills at the Shuyuan website www.zhaoshuyuan.com, but he is also humble and polite. He smiled and said, What do you need? Just find my senior uncle. Mufeng said, Thank you very much, master. Jiang Yunzhou sent someone to call out, Master, please bathe in the wind. Mufeng bid farewell and followed the guests back to the reception hall. Jiang Yunzhou said helplessly, My dear nephew, I've made you laugh. My family is ugly. Huachen's birth mother passed away in difficult childbirth. She was spoiled since childhood, afraid of hardship, didn't practice martial arts well, and had a weak body. She had a bad health and was ignorant and inexperienced. Her mother was unconscious at the foot of the mountain after begging for food. She saved her and stayed here, seduced her twice and intoxicated her old body. She must have tarnished her innocence as a young girl and married her. The difference is so big, she may have been interested in me as the hall leader, not really living a life. Our family is unfortunate. Mu Feng said, Master, every family has a difficult scripture to recite. Jiang Yunzhou said, Mu Feng, you came at the right time. Senior uncle has already started practicing, like a senior brother. He is worried that there is no heir to the Shadowless Sword. If you come just in time to pass it on to you, Master can rest assured. Mu Feng said, Thank you very much, Master. Jiang Yunzhou said, It's not a pity that I can pass on my master's unique skills to you. You also had a chance, thanks to my senior brother teaching you internal skills and cultivating you so excellently. Jiang Yunzhou took out a sword manual and said, This is the sword technique created by my master. Shadowless Sword. It is the most outstanding sword technique in the martial arts world, and has won numerous championships in the field of swordsmanship. I have been searching for someone who is destined to learn the sword manual, and only you are suitable for it. Senior brother, this is a perfect achievement for me. Mu Feng knelt down, took the sword manual, and kowtowed 3 times. Master. Jiang Yunzhou said, This book is passed down to you and should not fall into the hands of bad people. I have been hiding it for fear of being stolen by dogs. Many people have been spying on this book for a long time, so you must be careful. Mu Feng said, I remember, please keep it safe. Nanfeng Xueyi. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Jiang Yunzhou, with a gust of wind, crossed through dense forest peaks and arrived at the highest peak of the 5 peaks of Huashan, South Peak. Flying to a platform on the cliff, there is a cave that is very open inside. It covers hundreds of square meters and is fully equipped with food, drink, and accommodation. There is a spring on one side outside the cave, flowing towards the bottom of the valley. Jiang Yunzhou said, Most people can't get up to this peak, and this cave is also very secretive. Elder Zhua and I discovered it and made some adjustments. We will use it when we are closed, and we plan to practice and debut here in the future. Jiang Yunzhou said again, Let's go and take you to the mountaintop to see. The 2 of them leaped up to the summit, steep and beautiful. Mu Feng looked around, surrounded by mountains, towering into the clouds. Pines and cypresses were emerald green, and the rocks were in strange shapes. The sea of clouds churned under his feet, making him feel like he was in the clouds. Mu Feng said, Master, it's taller than Yunmengshan. Jiang Yunzhou laughed heartily. 3 mountains and 5 mountains are China's famous mountains. 3 mountains. Mount Huangshan Mountain, Lushan Mountain and Yendang Mountain. The 3 mountains and 5 mountains are all over the land of China, or stretching for thousands of miles, or towering over plains and basins, which are particularly steep. China's famous mountains are the first 5 mountains. The 5 mountains are places where ancient mountain gods worship, the 5 elements concept and emperors granted Zen. Centered on the central plains, they are named according to the east, west, south, north and middle directions. The 5 mountains return without looking at the mountains. The 5 sacred mountains are known as the top of China's famous mountains, with both landscape and cultural significance. The 5 mountains have their own characteristics. Mount Taishan in the east, Mount Hua in the west, Mount Heng in the south, Mount Heng in the north, Mount Song in the middle. Yunmeng Mountain is a holy land of fairyland, with evergreen trees and flowers, far away from the mortal world. The ancestors of Taoism practiced, studied, and transformed into immortals. Mu Feng said, Is Master very old? Jiang Yunzhou said, Senior brother is almost 200 years old. He became an immortal through cultivation. My master, Mr. Yunhe, only became an immortal when he was 500 or 600 years old. Mu Feng exclaimed in surprise, becoming an immortal. Jiang Yunzhou said, Yes, we are going to become immortals. Lv Dongbin is not just a monk. Taoism is the art of prolonging life and immortality. My Shifu is the 3rd generation successor of Taoism. He has countless unique skills, including yin and yang gossip. He has accepted 4 or 5 disciples. He is afraid that we will contradict each other, and he will pass on his various unique skills to several disciples. He teaches the eldest martial brother to become an immortal. I learn swordsmanship, the 3rd martial sister learns poison, the 4th martial brother fists, and the 5th martial sister medicine, acupuncture and moxibustion. The 3rd martial sister and the 4th martial brother fall into the demon sect and are expelled by the Shifu. Master, it said that there are many evils that harm the whole world. Mu Feng said, yes, my enemies are the 2 of them. Jiang Yunzhou said, I understand what my senior brother means. My dear nephew, study hard. The country is in danger, and the people are suffering. The time has come for heaven to test you. On the day when justice is truly upheld, my senior brother and I will not stand idly by. We will definitely help to eliminate demons, remove impurities, restore peace and prosperity, and help you manage the world well. Mu Feng said, Uncle Xie. Jiang Yunzhou said, you can rest assured to practice here. Elders will give you things every 2 days. Mu Feng said, no need to trouble, I can do it myself. Jiang Yunzhou said, it's both time-consuming and troublesome. Just bring it up and heat it up. Mu Feng said, then there will be Master Lao, Elders Wu. Mu Feng flew into the cave and began practicing swordsmanship. Shadowless Sword uses fast, accurate, and ruthless moves to transform into invisibility, allowing opponents to directly attack weaknesses without feeling the situation. There are 8 moves for Shadowless Sword. The first move is to starve the tiger and pounce on its finger at the heart and mouth, take a frontal move. Fake a shot, immediately withdraw, confusing behavior. The second blow to the door of destiny after the first turn, suddenly make another move, take a frontal shot, and when approaching the opponent, suddenly point downwards. The third move is to break your arm, move forward and lean towards your arms. I want to chop it down. The fourth move. One sword sealing the throat, attack from the side and directly extract the major artery of the neck. After the fifth move, put your heart into it. I drew my sword from the front and suddenly wound around the back, piercing my vest. The sixth move. Sword takes the waist and I. This move is a practical move. The seventh sign of wind, rolling leaves, quickly attack with true internal energy, allowing the sword to rotate and piercing the opponent's abdominal chi with one move. The eighth move. Chi penetrates the rainbow. Take advantage of its unpreparedness and insert it straight into the head from top to bottom. It may seem simple, but it requires a deep internal skill of true chi, a combination of virtual and real, to make the sword as fast as lightning, as soft as water, and move like flowing clouds and flowing water. Attack with the fastest speed and complete several moves in one go, making the opponent not know where the sword is pointing before making a move. Mufeng has studied for many years, and it is not difficult to use his internal power to wield swords, but his movements are slow and his sword flies hard without any illusions, making it difficult to strike. Mufeng carefully comprehends each move's mnemonic, integrates internal power and true chi, forces towards the sword end, stabs at the stone wall, and immediately shatters the mountain rocks. Mufeng still felt that the speed was too slow. He tried it over and over again, and in the last few seconds, the sword flew out and back in the blink of an eye, using it skillfully. Mufeng applied the internal skills of the moves from the Yi Jin Jing to the sword, and surprisingly, the sword flew invisibly, flowing freely like clouds and water. When he pointed at it, the sword struck like lightning, deadly. Mufeng repeatedly practiced and researched, adding his own experience to the original foundation, making his swordsmanship faster, light, accurate, and sharp, like a flying dragon swimming back and forth, suddenly invisibly piercing every deadly part. Mu Feng has been in the cave for 3 months, and Elders Wu often comes. Before, he watched Mu Feng practice hard, and he really likes Mu Feng. After hearing about his background, he respected him and put down his things before leaving. After practicing swordsmanship, Mu Feng finally had some free time. When he saw Elder Zhua, he politely said, "Senior uncle, thank you for taking care of me. Mu Feng has been devoted to practicing." Elder Zhua said, "Mufeng, you are the pride of the martial arts world and shoulder the heavy responsibility of the martial arts community. We admire you. In the future, when you return to the court and restore the country, the Huashan sect is willing to contribute its humble efforts to help you achieve success." Mu Feng quickly knelt down and kowtowed, "Master Xie." Elder Zhua picked up Mu Feng and said, "Look at the dumplings I specifically asked your wife to make for you. Eat them quickly." Mu Feng happily started eating and said to Elder Zhua, "Senior uncle, I have completed my studies and can go down the mountain now." Elder Zhua said, "Really?" Mu Feng said, "Yes." After finishing his meal, Mu Feng said, "Senior uncle, you can test me." Elder Zhua picked up his sword, and Mu Feng took a branch. The two of them began to compete. Elder Zhua wielded his sword, and Mu Feng's move melted open. Mu Feng pounced directly at his heart, and the left elder protected his chest with a sword. Suddenly, Mu Feng slid towards his lower body, and the left elder protected his lower body again. Mu Feng swung his sword towards his arm, and as the left elder dodged, Mu Feng leaned towards his neck. The left elder leaped forward, and Mu Feng followed his backward heart. The left elder used his sword to block it, and Mu Feng stabbed towards his waist. The left elder retreated, and the Mu Feng sword flew out, shooting down the left elder's sword and stabbing towards his abdomen. Of course, Mu Feng only pointed until he reached the point. Elder Zhua was exhausted and panting. He said, "It's hard to defend and has no parry power. You can hit it with just one move at any time, unexpected and unprepared. It's like a shadow following the shape and unpredictable." Mu Feng said, "Master, this set of swordsmanship is indeed powerful. If it weren't for someone with deep internal skills and a solid foundation, they would definitely not be able to learn it. No wonder Master asked me to learn it for 18 years, and only after practicing the Yi Jin Jing did I learn the Shadowless Sword." Elder Zhua said, "Mu Feng, Youzi, and the Master of the Hall are all top-level martial arts experts. Each of them possesses unique skills and superior martial arts. They will all teach you, and you will gather the strengths of all the families and dominate the world." Mu Feng said, "Senior uncle, I just want to seek revenge for my country, not for fame and fortune." Mu Feng packed his luggage and followed Elder Zhua down the mountain.